Okay. So now let's go to that. Okay. So the main three things that are going on right now are the ones that's more immediate, which is going to be the short story analysis. You have a rough draft due on that at the end of next week. Okay. Then you have the bibliography we're moving forward to in several weeks. That's for the research paper.
Okay.
Okay. And the Marrow Thieves, which we're going to start after the break. So we've got okay, we have after next week, we have a week-long break, and then we're going to start in. Now, we may be working with short stories a little bit then, but let's start assuming that after the break, you're going to be doing Marrow Thieves. Yes, go ahead. Oh, we lost her.
Yeah, I think.
So notice these. I've got videos on here for these. Now, for this, I want to go back to the module because it'll be easier to show up. Yeah, actually, you have to still share to take a look at the module there.
Okay.
Okay. So let's take it in the order. Okay. So right now, where you're at for the research paper is you're in the first phase of 3 in this. Now you have the video. I don't want to spend the video unless we have some time later to go over this. Okay. But in general, what we have is the 3 phases of research, which are going to be finding sources, which is where you're at right now. The second phase is getting information from those sources. Mostly that means quotes. And then the third phase is writing on them. Okay. So when you want to look at this, especially here we have this in short form, then I have a video that goes over this and discusses it in more detail. So these phases are the ones you want to go to. And the goal here is that when you're looking for sources, all you're doing is looking for sources. Okay. And you want to use the mantra when you're looking for a source, when in doubt, print it out.
Okay.
So when you're looking at a source, don't read it too closely. Think, this may or may not. If there's any chance it'll help you later on, print it out or take it or collect it, however you're going to do it. Okay, that's what you should be. What?
Or we can email it to each other.
However you're going to do it. And so you gather a bunch of sources. Now the assignment that's going to be involved in gathering sources is the bibliography. Okay. And I usually try to make that about week 9. It may be maybe week 10. Okay.
Okay.
But either way, shortly after we come back from break, you want to have 15 sources on your bibliography. Now, we haven't talked about a bibliography 15? Yet. Okay. I do have handouts on that are more detailed if you want to get moving forward on it. Okay. But the bibliography is essentially going to be a list of works you might use on that. Okay. On the research.
And this is like, it should be 15 sources, you said?
At least 15 sources.
Okay.
Okay. Then what you're going to do in the long process of it is when you write the paper, you're going to cut and paste from your bibliography to make your 10 source works cited list.
Okay.
They are the same thing. The difference is the bibliography is the works you might use. The works cited list is those same works when you do use them.
Okay.
The works cited list will be shorter than the bibliography because it's very unlikely you're going to use every source you look at.
Okay.
So in the first phase, what you're trying to do is simply establish sources you might use. Okay. Then when you establish, so I'm going to suggest that if you have a 15 source bibliography, get 20 sources. Okay. And don't read them in detail when you do that. You can read them in detail later, but right when you're first getting them, your entire purpose is to say, this might help me. Yes. This won't help me. I'm not going to spend any more time with it. Okay.
Okay.
Then when you go through, and get the quotes from them, get the ideas from them, that's when you look at them a little bit closely. That's when you bring out the highlighter and pen or pencil, how you're ever going to do it, and then you start working with it much more closely. Now the goal here is at the stage where you're actually writing, you don't have any sources. You're not getting quotes anymore. You've got all the quotes you need.
Okay.
Now in the video, I talk about some things like a couple different ways you can go about getting the ideas and getting the quotes. And if you're an old soul, you may want to write these down on index cards so that you have the cards available to you. Okay. Now the key for that working is that you have one quote per card so that you can put the cards in order kind of along the route you want to take, mapping out the route you want to take with your paper by mapping by the quotes you're going to use, right? But if you're an old soul, you may want to do it all digitally. Now, the key here is you want to have all the quotes in 12-point font, Romans or Roman Times Roman font, so that you can simply cut and paste them into your document.
Okay.
And
So we need to take a quote from the sources we're gonna use.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, many quotes. Okay.
Okay.
And what you're going to find probably is that some quotes you're going to end up getting some sources you're going to end up using a lot of quotes, and some you're just going to use one or two.
Okay.
That's just natural, because the overlap between your idea and the sources, that's what makes the sources useful.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe earlier I drew the Venn diagram with circles around my topic, lying in the Harry Potter series, and sources. I looked up sources on ethics in the Harry Potter series. I looked up morality. I looked up Christianity, because these are sources. These are ideas that overlap between their papers and mine.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, Lama, do you have any other questions about the research phases here?
No, I did the one you told me about the library. You said about it.
Okay.
And it was helpful.
It was helpful. Yeah. They brought up some things I bet that I didn't bring up, didn't they?
Yeah, because they show you how you put the sources, like from the internet and MLA style, and yeah, that's help.
Oh yeah, it's very helpful. Every time I go to this, I find out things that I didn't know before.
Yeah, it's a lot of things to do, to search on. Yeah, but it was helpful.
And it's also kind of reassuring to know that you have more sources than you think you do.
Yeah. Okay,
because before you know about the databases, you think, well, my God, how am I going to find any sources on this? Well, there are a lot of it with the databases and with the catalog. There are a lot of sources out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing you want to talk about is I want to go over the other things that we have in the module. Okay. A lot in this module, and part of that is because we're rolling over some things from last week and others. Okay, I did a video just this morning. You'll notice the same exact shirt, on finding sources, and that goes over the databases and all the different things. This is going to be a little bit like what the librarians did, although I'm sure they did it in more detail. Okay, then we have the short story packet. We have the different phases of the packet. The first is the guidelines. So if you need that explained again, you can just watch this video. Then we have the introduction video. And what I don't believe in this class, I don't think we've gone over the introduction to that essay yet, have we?
No.
Not in Zoom. So you can look at the introduction video. It will be a lot of the same things I'm talking about here, but since it's a different time, a different day, I will say slightly different things. Okay, so it's worth watching. Now, the moving into the body, that's basically moving from the bottom of the first page into the second page, and then the conclusion, that's basically the last page and a half of it. Okay.
So this is explain the short story essay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, remember, if you want to read Araby to know what I'm talking about in that story, we have a copy of Araby. I believe it's in last week's module. Yeah. So if you read that, that'll help you. But if you're crammed for time, the most important thing is reading Cathedral and reading Sonny's Blues. Okay. So these are all the things that go with it. Now we have the quoting page, which is from last week, but I've rolled it forward because this is something for any textual analysis you're going to be quoting. And the two main modes of quoting we're going to talk about are going to be quoting when the quote is a sentence or longer, and quoting when the sentence has to fit inside. So here we have the bullet points of that, okay, and then we have the video that explains it. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, I'm gladly going to talk about them, but I kind of want to leave that video free so we have our time here to talk about other things. Okay, we have Sonny's Blues, which we're going to start working with toward the end of this week. Now, Sonny's Blues has a lot of other information. Okay, now Lama, have you read Sonny's Blues?
No, not yet.
Okay, so I'd say read the story, and if you want to kind of get a feeling for what the type of music Sonny's playing is, you have a couple of videos here that help you. Coltrane, that's a type of play. Coltrane, John Coltrane played the type of music he's talking about, and so does
Okay.
Parker Gillespie in jazz. Now
Yeah, I
he
saw this.
refers. Excuse me.
I saw this videos. Yeah, the music, the jazz. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to go about 2 minutes in to get past the talking, right?
Okay. No.
Okay, okay. When they finally say, "Okay, white guy, get out of the way, let us jam," there. So you have that. Okay. This is a poem here. Later on, when we discuss the story, we can talk about some of the things that go into this. And this is a poem that Langston Hughes wrote that's about racism, disappointment, and rage. It doesn't have to be about racism, but in the context of what it is going to be. Now, here we also have a sample from page 43 in which I show how the notes should go. Okay, so I think this is worth taking a look at here.
Okay.
Because if you're still having a little bit of trouble or still feeling a little bit uncomfortable with noting, okay, this is a sample of doing it. And I've taken it from page 43 because page 43 is a fairly important page. There's a lot of different things here. And so notice, just as I talked about before, I have at the top of the page what I call aisle markers, AISLE, kind of like in the grocery store where they have the aisle markers that say, here's what's on this aisle.
Okay.
Well, here's what's on this page. This page is about, for me, the movie imagery. So we see that at the bottom of the page. That's one that's going to be very important. Okay. And here I'm noting things as it goes along. So this is, I've highlighted, and I feel bad that the highlighting is not as vibrant and yellow as I want it to be, but it does that. So I've got the highlighting, and then I've noted in the margins, ice in veins. Now, this connects to heroin because ice in veins is often described as the way that heroin feels. I don't know. Never taken heroin, okay, but I've heard people say it is. So that's connecting. I've also got that cross-referenced on 46 and 51, which tells me that I see this something about heroin on pages 46 and 51. Now, to a certain extent, you could say that everything in the story is about heroin because Sonny is an addict and his brother is trying to help him cure that. But I'm highlighting places where heroin comes up as especially important. And then farther down the page, these are things I'm noticing. Now, again, when I'm reading through the story, I don't necessarily know what's going to be important about it. Okay. But I'm trying as much as possible to make guesses. Hey, okay, make guesses about, hey, Brianna, welcome back. Did you have some business?
Yeah, I had a customer come in. That's
How
why.
dare those customers come into your place of work and require you to work?
Thank you. Over here disturbing my peace.
I know. Okay.
Okay, so what are we talking about?
Okay. Okay. We were talking about you.
Oh, nice. What are you guys saying?
All good things. We were saying what a wonderful person she is.
Oh, thank you. See, I like to think so too.
Okay. No, what we're doing is going over this page. This is all in week 7. So you can just go down week 7, and the videos are there for what you need. The sample, the short story analysis sample is there there that you need it. And this is something on the week 7 module that's just taking a page 43 out of Sonny's Blues, and I'm just showing my marks on this. Okay. This is kind of a model for what you can do. And so what I've done is I broke it into I call it the aisle markers. That's AISLE, like in the aisle at the grocery store. And then we have highlighting. You can circle this, you can underline, however you're going to do it. I like a highlighter. And then notes in the margin. Now, I would suggest when you first do notes in the margin, do them in pencil, because you may not be absolutely sure about what you're doing. I'm doing it in pen because I feel more secure in my perceptions about what's important. I feel more secure that what I think is important will end up being important, right?
Okay, gotcha.
And another reason I do it in pen is because a lot of these things, a lot of these sources I'm going to use for more than one session, more than one class, more than 1 year, and pencil fades out much more quickly, and my old eyes aren't going to work that well with it. So I have this, and so I'm noting in the margin. So I suggest one thing you do is in the margin, when you've highlighted, put a little note there about what has caught your eye about it. Don't worry about getting it right. Don't worry about the reality that later in the story you may realize what you thought was there was not actually what was there. Don't worry about that. Okay, you can change that when you go along. Okay, but you want to practice putting into words what has caught your attention about this. That allows you to cross-reference. So I've said this is about heroin, and I'm noticing on page 46, I notice heroin again. Then I look back to page 43, aha, there it is. And on 51, I say, didn't I talk about heroin before? Didn't he talk about heroin before? And say, aha, 46 and 43. Notice a lot of highlighting and cross-referencing here. So notice that something, he talks about children and talks about adults, and he does that on page 44, the next page, 46, 47, 48, 49 through 50. Now, if it's highlighted, if it's cross-referenced, that often, what does that tell you about the importance of this repetition here? Probably pretty important, isn't it?
Important, yeah.
And if there's something okay, Lama, you made me choke again.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Something in the weather today. What's wrong?
Okay. So if something comes up that often, there's a chance that there's a pattern.
Okay.
And if there's a pattern, it's probably something I'm going to talk about.
Important. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so these are the modules that we have on that. Any questions about this?
And we have the link for the story, right? You give
Yep.
us a
Yep.
PDF. Okay.
Yep, it's right here. But no, it's Sunny's Blues. It's in two segments.
Okay.
Don't be intimidated by that. It's actually about a 30-page story.
Okay.
But when the librarian did put this in PDFs for me, she was experimenting, and she couldn't figure out how to get that all into one PDF. Okay.
Okay, so not bad.
Now she can do it. She didn't do it then, so we have that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now notice also, we were talking about the bibliography, and I have the MLA template and sample bibliography. That's something you're going to think about as you go farther on, as you go deeper into this for the research paper, the bibliography. Okay. So if you want to see what it looks like, this is what it looks like.
Okay.
Now I don't plan on talking. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's bibliography. That's a story. Oh, that's a research with the.
Yeah, let's just take a look at it. Okay. So for the research paper, okay, the bibliography is simply a list of sources you might use. So this handout I took directly from the MLA Works website. Excuse me. And this is the template they use. Now, again, probably next week is when we're going to talk in more detail about that. But for right now, you just want to figure out if you have a source, every source, no matter what type, can fit somewhere within this template. What they've given in the template is the order of information, if you have it, the order they want you to use in it, the punctuation they want to use. And some of these items don't apply for every little source. So if it doesn't apply for the particular type of source you're using, you just skip it.
Okay.
Then they have a sample of a source they've put into this. And notice for this particular source, it doesn't have a version, it doesn't have a number. Okay, which means it's not a journal. Okay? And then they put it in this form. Now, what I've done here is I've given you a sample bibliography. This is what your bibliography will look like. This is what your bibliography will look like. Notice also the very first one is what your works cited list will look like when you write about Sunny's Blues. Okay. Now, I plan on putting a bibliography up for you guys next week. Okay, but right now, if you're worried about what it will look like, the works cited list, excuse me, will look like for the for the short story analysis, this is what it will look like.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions about that?
No, but I think I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so because I got so confused with the discussion
My question,
board,
Bree,
what it was supposed to be about.
what happened to the rest of your body?
It's right here. I'm at work. Let's see. Okay, so I got really confused with the discussion board. I think I
Okay.
just Yeah.
You did fine.
So, oh, okay, because I didn't
Hmm.
know we were supposed to write about it. I thought we had the option to, or write about our own. Oh, I have a customer.
Okay, Bree.
Back.
I'm putting the glasses down here.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, no,
I'm
good.
going into stern
Okay.
librarian judgment mode.
More than librarian mode.
Okay,
So
okay. We glasses people know how to do these, don't we?
yeah, we know how to do that.
Do not make me lower the glasses on you, right?
Yeah, don't do that. I feel like that's
Okay.
intimidating. Don't do that.
So, but no, you were fine.
Oh, okay,
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 because
okay.
all I really needed to do in that was just kind of practice an opening for it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So yeah, so for that, okay. So it's for a short analysis, right?
Short story analysis, yeah.
Yes. So are we supposed to write about for our short analysis? Are we supposed to write about those two passages, or one of those two passages, or something on our own? That's where I guess that's where I got confused because I wasn't 100% sure. Yeah.
Okay. So in the discussion, what I wanted you to do is to simply take a look at a theme that's important, start a discussion on it. And I figured to start off, you can just start off by essentially doing what is the opening paragraph. Now, in a minute, we're going to go over the sample futility in Arabic.
Okay.
Okay. And notice for the directions, I cut and pasted the opening paragraph into this. And all I did was just the opening paragraph of the sample essay.
Oh, okay.
And that's
Yeah.
what I wanted to do. But if you didn't do exactly that, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, yeah, that's because I was just confused. Like I kept reading it, I was like, dude, I'm confused. I don't know.
No, don't worry. Okay. And remember, if you're confused, go ahead and ask me. There is nothing at all the matter with that.
I feel like all my questions are late because I get off work late, so I feel like everything's gonna have to ask is late.
Everything's late.
Yeah, but remember, this is an online class, so does time even exist?
Yeah, no, it doesn't actually. No, it doesn't. You're right. Valid point. Valid point.
Okay, so that would be a problem if we have like a 9:30 in the morning class and your question comes at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Although actually, for a 101 class, if it comes at 11, that's still not a problem because we're still in class.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but okay, for an online class, we're either going to be communicating through these lovely Zoom sessions, okay, or through email through the inbox, or through questions that you're going to have ask at other times. Or then there are people who feel free to drop by my office, which is absolutely fine. I love it. Okay,
I could do that.
I'm talking to Lama. Lama did that earlier today. Okay,
Yes.
so,
Okay, yeah. Because I have
Okay.
class with her too, so I'll probably just stop by one of these days then.
and asking other students questions is absolutely fine too. Okay, so the thing that makes it trickier is we don't have as many of the Zoom sessions or the face-to-face sessions to communicate things much easier. I mean, frankly, I love Zoom. It's very helpful, but as Lama pointed out earlier today, it's so much easier and so much quicker and more efficient to have face-to-face, and let's sit down, let's look at what the issues are, let's solve them, right?
Yeah, I get my issue right away. It's like, okay.
Yeah. And you guys can do that. All you want that is just because it's an online class, that doesn't mean you can't drop by my office.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter if you drop by my office, if I'm there, it doesn't matter if it's my office hours or not. Okay.
Oh, okay then.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
In other words, you're not forbidden to come outside of my office hours if I'm there. Okay.
When you're there.
If I'm there, drop in. Worst case scenario, I can't do anything right now. We'll have to set up a time to do something else, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But and don't be dissuaded if I'm grumpy. That's just me.
Yeah, me too. So I wouldn't be mad.
That's what happens to people when they wear glasses, right?
Yeah, we just have this natural tendency to get grumpy. I'm telling you.
I mean, the fact that you can do that and change the temperature in the room just is such a power.
It is. I'm telling you, it's such an intimidating look.
And last April I had cataract surgery. So there was a time when we thought that maybe I wouldn't need glasses at all. except for like
Okay.
little reading glasses. So what's the first thing I did when I had the cataract surgery? I started buying reading glasses because I've worn glasses since 6th grade, and I'm addicted to glasses.
Yes,
Okay, so it's used to it.
So right now, okay, when I'm driving, I can take off my glasses. When I'm playing soccer, I don't need my glasses. Strictly speaking, all I really need them for is this length between the computer and here and there.
Okay.
But I'm still going to wear them almost all the time.
Yeah, see, lucky you. I have to because I'm just blind in that factor. Like I have to wear my glasses 24/7. There's no doubt about it at all.
Okay, so and it's fun running into things.
Oh, yeah, no. See, I'm always tripping and falling without them. I'm telling you, I can't see without them.
And I love that you can use it as a form of intimidation. Okay, like I bump into things. If people, you want to stay on my way. You don't know, okay, when I'm coming. Okay, you got to give me space. You might get hurt, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Do not make me go Will Smith on you. Okay. Yeah. Oh, is it too soon? Is it too soon?
No, it's not too soon. I'm
No.
already making jokes about it with my customers too. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Okay. So are there any other questions you guys have about your research topics?
Honestly, I don't even feel like I did good on my research topic.
I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but
Yeah,
you did fine as long as we've got a topic and you can start your research.
I already did research on it and everything, so I did a whole thing about it. That's why I'm not sure if I did it right.
Okay, so let's take a moment here. Tell me what your topic is, and then we can determine right now if you can go ahead, even though I haven't. For example, Llama, she's going ahead. We've talked about this. Okay, I haven't graded it yet, but she knows she's in good shape. She can start the research, right?
Yeah.
Now, Brianna, okay, I keep wanting to call you Bree.
You can call me Bree.
Okay,
I'm fine with
okay,
that.
okay.
I'm open-minded to it. That's
How
cool.
about bruh?
Bro, I'm cool. I'm good with bros. I gotta call you bro. Then we're good.
Okay.
Then we're good.
Okay, Bree. So what's your topic?
So mine is on racial discrimination and racial profile.
Okay, the only concern I might have is if you don't have it specific enough, like which sort of racial profiling are you talking about?
Like kind of like stereotyping. So
Okay.
whenever they see like for example a Hispanic person,
Okay.
the automatic thought is like they're illegal, they're aliens,
Okay.
they steal
Good,
people's jobs. Yeah.
Good.
So like that.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like you do have it narrow enough. So that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. 'Cause it has-
I was assuming you were talking about the prejudice against middle-aged white guys, that the idea that they are too sexy and too automatically anxious.
You know what?
It's an
You know
insidious
what?
thing.
I just thought that'd be a little inappropriate. That's why I don't want to talk about it. But I mean, if we're open to the idea.
Okay, I brought sexy back and I killed it.
All right, Justin Timberlake, I like it. I like it.
Okay, so no, your topic is fine. You go ahead. You start to do the research on it.
Okay.
Okay, and when you had to pop out because that stupid customer had to make you do like your job. Okay. Okay, remember on this week, one of the videos I've got there goes over the methods to use in using the library.
Okay.
Okay, so again, there are 2 videos that I suggest you look at for this. Okay, and one is the 3 phases of research. Okay, so again, that's there, and then finding sources. These are 2 videos that are important ones to look at. Okay, and the advantage of having the video, you can look at them over and over again. Okay, and the disadvantage is I'm in them. That's the problem. Okay.
Yeah, that's a little bit, but it's all right.
Not a deal breaker, but okay. Okay, so both of you are good to go on your topic. Don't worry about don't wait until I get the proposal back to you with a grade to start the research. So
Okay.
you're on phase 1 of the research, which means you're just gathering sources. That's all you're doing right now. Go ahead.
By sources, are we just talking about like articles?
Mostly articles, but notice also the video starts off with the catalog, which has books.
Okay, so we also want to involve books in it too.
Yeah. So my suggestion Okay, the first basic rule of thumb on this, and again, this is on the page with the video, so I'm not going to write it down now. It's on that page with the video. But the first step is to look for academic sources. Look for sources that come from universities and colleges. Okay, not because they're by definition better, but because they're focused more academically on the ideas that you're going for. Do it in the order it is set in the library website. That's where you start your research, with the VVC College Library. Okay. Don't go on the net first. You can go there eventually, but you go to the library first, because the library's purpose is academic research, and that's what you're doing now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Because I had pulled out articles, so that's what I had put in my works cited. But okay, noted. Academic.
Noted.
Noted.
Okay.
Noted.
And follow that method. So first, go for books in the catalog. And one of the cool things, one of the few cool things about the pandemic is it forced libraries to get more e-books, which means you can get a lot of sources that you don't have to physically handle.
Yeah, you can.
In other words, that you don't have to
available.
go down to the library to get them. Okay, you have ebooks that are available. Okay, then go to the databases and go to the database, what we call the discipline specific database first. In other words, if you're doing something on history, go to the history databases.
Okay.
Which makes sense. Okay.
So should we like limit the articles we pull from the
Not
web?
at this
No?
point. Not at this place. Okay.
Okay.
At this point, you follow the truth, which is when in doubt, print it out.
Okay.
Or save it at ever, because the first stage is what I call the first skim, where you're taking a look at an article. Okay, and what you're trying to do is avoiding what I did in college. Almost everything I'm telling you to do is something I learned by not doing it. Okay?
Noted.
This was me in college. Okay, it's 5 o'clock. The library is closed at 10. And remember, this is a time when you can only get sources from the library.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, the internet was just a dream in Bill Gates' heart, right? Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm looking up and I've got a book, and I'm sitting there, I'm reading it, and oh, that's interesting. I'm thinking about it, and pretty soon a half hour's passed, and I haven't yet decided if this might help me.
Oh, so you read in details.
Yeah. And
Okay.
another problem with me in college is when I was in the library, there was always a chance a girl was going to walk past. There's always that chance it was going to happen. So I think people seeing me studying in the library thought there was something the matter with me, because I was like,
So I was looking.
okay, always looking. Did I snub the future Mrs. Adele?
I mean, did you?
I did not.
He's like, no.
Okay. Any potential future Mrs. Adele snubbed me.
I think
Okay.
that's no.
Because it's tough to have game when you're when you're as hardworking as I was, right?
You know what? You have a valid point.
Okay.
You have a valid
Okay.
point.
Sorry, ladies. I'm into my studies. Okay. Okay. You
But
ladies
women
will
always
have to
love an
wait.
Educated person.
Okay. I'm about the higher things. Okay. Not like going on dates and stuff.
No, is it studying? Is it studying?
Studying. Don't distract me. So it would have been better if I'd done it this way. Okay, if I'd gotten a source, looked enough, and skimmed to say, yeah, that might help. Here, put it in a pile. I'm going to check this out. Okay, and looked, no, this one not. And once I've decided it's not going to help me, I'm not looking at it again.
Okay.
And bear in mind, when I'm not looking at it now, I may look at the same source later for another research paper, but for this one, it's not helping.
It's not gonna help. Okay.
So at this point, if there's any chance it's going to help you, you put it in a pile of things you can have. Now, the advantage you have now is most of the sources you're going to get are digital, so it doesn't cost you anything in money or in time just to put it in a file or save it on your Google Drive or however you're going to do it. It doesn't matter. When in doubt, print it out, or when in doubt, save it.
Okay.
If there's any chance it's going to help you, you're done with this right now. You saved it here. You're done with that source. You're on to the next source.
Okay.
So I have seen people in 2 hours get 20 sources. It is not at all unlikely. Now, obviously, they haven't read them in full yet, but that's not your job at the first place.
Okay.
Later on, you can go back. And again, the video breaks us down into 3 different steps, 2, 3, and 4, okay, in which you get closer and skimming. But I want you to take a look at that video. I don't want to talk about it in detail now, but essentially what you're doing is you go back and you find quotes, find ideas from this. Now, the ideal thing is that at the stage when you sit down and write, you're not getting any more sources. You've got all the sources you need. You're not gathering any more quotes. You've got all the quotes you need. You're just putting them into a form.
Okay.
And if you save them digitally, you can just cut and paste them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did.
Okay. Now I'm curious, are you guys notes? You like to take notes longhand and write with a pen on paper, or do you like to save them on a computer?
No, I'm really physical. I like to write down things.
Yeah.
Me
I'm real
too.
physical.
You're an old
Me
soul.
too. I like to write too.
Okay, so what I'm going to suggest is, if that's what you want to do, get some 5x7 index cards, and on each of the cards you write down the quote as a, okay. Do a shorthand, like abbreviate letters, as long as you can find out what the word is. And then at the top of the page, you put that index card. You put the documentation as it will be in the works in the paper, right? So that way you can just talk it. And it's kind of cool if you do this. You have one quote per card. Then you can kind of map out your essay by the quotes you think you're going to use.
Yeah.
And that's so it's a cool thing, a cool way you can do it. Now, the advantage of doing it digitally is you already have it. You can cut and paste fairly easily. Either of these can work. Okay, either of these can work. Just whatever you're going to be most comfortable with and what's going to feel best for you.
Okay, and I have another question.
Yes.
So when we're giving like credit to the resources like throughout our essays,
yeah,
would we put like in this book and then what it's called by the author?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
no,
just wanted to make sure. No,
okay. That's a good question, because what you're doing with the argumentation essay and with the short story analysis essay, you're practicing the move you're going to make.
Okay.
And that move is, when you go into a quote, let the reader know who's talking.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So at a minimum, give the full name of the writer.
Mm-hmm.
If you think it also helps us to understand the quote a little bit better, to give the title of the essay, then give that too.
Okay. And then what about for the research paper?
That's in the research paper, yes.
That's too, okay.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, I was talking about the research paper.
Yeah,
now,
I know, me too. That's why.
Okay, and now in the short story analysis, there's only one source you need to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
So your first sentence is going to start off something along the lines of this. Okay. In Cathedral, Raymond Carver explores the theme of blindness. Now, after that point, you never need to refer to the short story title again. Okay. You've done it the first time. It's in our mind. And because this essay is going to only be about one source, you'll never need to say another title again. You also never need to say Raymond Carver again. You can just use Carver.
Okay.
Okay. And remember, use writers' last names.
Last name. Yeah, I remember.
So this move, that when you bring in a source, you give us the name of the person who wrote the source. That's a move I want you to take from this class into other classes later on. Okay. Because it's just kind of, you want to get that in your muscle memory, that automatically when you go into a source, you let the reader know who's talking to us.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, you may have, it's unusual, but sometimes teachers don't want you to use the name, but most often they'll be fine with it, or they want you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And very often you'll have teachers who want to do it, but they have bigger fish. They may have bigger fights in a history class or a sociology class than your mechanics and quoting.
Okay.
Okay. That's more okay. A lot of people consider that the English teacher's job. Okay. So I'm glad to take on that job, but it's okay. But it's not something that what the techniques we're talking about here don't end when you leave this class.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Continue. Yeah.
So hopefully, if everything works out the way I want it to, at the end of this class, when you go next semester, other classes, you feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more at ease. Okay, when you write any sort of paper, especially research papers. That's my dream.
Yeah, because I'm really lost with it, but.
Are you feeling uncomfortable with the research paper right now?
I really much was. I very much was. Yeah.
Okay.
But
so,
I'm waiting for your critique to let me know.
So what you want to remember is, with every paper, we're working on some little aspect or set of aspects that's going to build toward the research paper.
Okay, and for that one, would it be present or past tense? Because I'm always messing up on that, and
Okay.
I just
No. So let's say the moment you talk about a text, you talk about it in present tense.
Present.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would speak on it in present tense
Yeah.
because I would think it's a current situation going on.
Right. So like the way I think about it is when I talk about a text, no matter what the text is, the moment I'm putting it in front of you, it's like it becomes alive and is with us right now, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Mhm.
The past tense is if you talk about historical events. They
Okay.
happened, you can't change them. The text you can change essentially by commenting on the past event. Something happened in the past. So for example, in yours, okay, you're probably going to talk about some in your paper, in the research paper, you're probably going to talk about some horrible things police did, right?
Yeah.
Okay. These happened in the past, you talk about it in the past. But then when somebody starts writing about them, that's when you talk about that text, that becomes in present tense.
Present.
Got it. Okay.
It's that simple. It's going to be that confusing.
Yeah. Okay.
I can tell you something that simple is going to kind of sometimes wiggle around in your mind. So don't worry about that. That's just normal.
Okay. Yeah.
And the research paper, you're going to write it over basically a 10-week period.
Oh, okay.
I mean, 10 weeks for 10 weeks essentially from gathering the source, declaring your topic, gathering sources, and then writing it.
Yeah, that's good to have steps. So
Yeah.
make
Just
it
so we
easier.
know how to go about it.
And by that time, you will have written the argumentation in which you talk about the explicit arguments of people's ideas, the short story analysis in which you analyze a text that's implicit, in other words, in which you decide what's important, you decide how it goes together. Then the marrow thieves analysis is going to blend those two. Okay, you're going to, it gets at its heart, you're going to identify a theme or an approach or an idea that's important in marrow thieves, but then you're going to bring in secondary sources that analyze those.
Okay.
So you will have three major essays in which you practice the moves you're going to do in the research paper. So you should not feel intimidated, although you will. I can tell you up front, you're going to feel nervous about the research paper, not only because it's a 200-point assignment, but because since it's longer, it will feel like there's something massively different going on. But it's really just the same basic thing as the argumentation, except it's got 10 or more sources. Same thing as our short story analysis, except it's got 10 or more sources. Same thing as the marrow thieves, except the marrow thieves has 3 sources and this has 10 sources. It's the moves you make in each of these essays are going to be done in slightly different form in this big one.
Okay.
See, piece of cake?
Yeah.
Feeling totally at peace right now?
No, but I'm
Not feeling like screaming in the T-Mobile office?
Oh no, I do. Trust me,
Okay.
I do.
Well, and I'm betting it's not the first time people have screamed in the T-Mobile office.
I scream at them too, so it's fine.
Okay, fair is fair. Okay, so are there any other questions about this?
No, not about the research paper, no.
Okay. Well, do you have any questions about anything else? Lama, does it feel good not having to be the only one asking questions?
Yes.
No, girl, trust me, I have so many questions
Yes.
all the time. I have questions all the time.
Yeah.
Go ahead and ask them. Do you have any now?
I did have some, but now I blanked. Okay, I did have one about my argumentative essay.
Yes.
So I know the past and present tense was the issue,
Mm-hmm.
but what else was the issue?
Off the top of my head, I don't really remember. There may have been some sentence mechanics issues.
Yeah, no, I've seen that. Those, yeah, because I know I got a 79 out of 100. That's why I was like curious.
Okay. Well, I would have to look at it. Look at it again in detail because remember, I'm reading probably around 50 of these.
Yeah,
and you get them done fast too. And I'm like, Jesus.
Oh, and I feel okay. Well, and it took me a week longer than it was supposed to.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, I was feeling bad. I didn't get them back I should have gotten back to you that previous weekend, and it took me until this week to get them done. So
it was a lot.
So I'm kind of kicking myself on that.
I don't think you should. It's a lot. It's a lot to read.
Well, that's nice of you to say, but that doesn't. I'm
But
Swedish.
noted, I
And
get
I'm
how you
Swedish.
feel.
I'm Swedish, and I grew up Baptist, so guilt is my default setting.
Got you. Noted. Noted. I'm a psych major. I don't really have that much guilt.
So psycho is your default mode, right?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay. Like you say, you don't go into psych. People don't go into psych because they're stable.
And I could vouch for that too. I can.
Okay. So I'm gonna go. What I'm gonna go do is I'm gonna go into the first paragraph of the essay to kind of model for it. And if you have any questions, even if they're not about the thing we're talking about directly, then go ahead and ask them. That's the advantage of having just two people here.
I know. A lot more people would be here. I finally was able to hop on the call too.
For an optional Zoom session, I learned from other people that you don't get a lot of people, especially if it's recorded and people know they can watch it later on.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So we have this. Oh, excuse me, I have it there. Okay. So again, cover this. Now remember, it's going to be 4 to 5 pages long. Sorry, it's so short. Okay, and it's going to be on one of these stories in the Murky Reader. Now, don't worry that you don't have the Murky Reader. We've cut and pasted the PDFs from that. So here are the stages of it: the introduction, body, conclusion, and the main principle I want you to remember from this page is look back, step forward. And that means that when you've said something, the moment you've said something, it becomes something we may look back at it again. Okay. So the first thing that you look back at is the introduction. So when you've declared your theme, you've declared your focus, you've declared your idea, then you're going to look back at that in the point. But then when you get, and this goes to the second page, with each example, you have more to look back at. So the second example, you may remind you of the first, and the third example may remind you of the first and second. There are anything you've talked about becomes something you can work back later. And then the ultimate look back step forward is in the conclusion, where you take a look at everything you've talked about, remind us of what you want us to think about, and then leave with a final thought. Then we go, are there any questions about that? Because I really rushed through that.
No.
And remember, I have a video that does that in a less hectic way. Okay. So then we have the essay itself. And I noticed that something has happened to me that happens in Word. Did you notice that Word has subtly changed my spacing?
Yeah, I had noticed that.
So I need to go back. If that happens, you just go back and change it here. Okay.
Okay.
And just the way it should be is it says add space before paragraph, add space after paragraph. That means there are no extra spaces. And if it just does that, go change it. Okay. Then we have this. Now my title is going to be just the theme and the title of the work. That's all you need. If you have a more exciting title that also informs us about what you're doing, that's fine, but you don't need anything more than the theme and the work. Okay, now why is Araby in quotation marks? It's in my title. Not almost I don't put my title in quotation marks, but why is this in quotation marks?
Because the source.
It's the source that I'm doing, and it's in quotation marks because it's a not italics, because it's a short story.
Okay.
Okay. Now, as I go through this, my basic purpose in any introduction is to be general. Okay. Now, there are exceptions to this, and this is not this template I'm giving you is not the only one there that exists. If a teacher asks for something very different, or if a boss asks for something different, give it to them. That's perfectly fine. But if the teacher doesn't express, here's how I want you to structure this, you can use the template I'm giving you, and you should be fine. Okay. So introductions in general are general. Your purpose in the introduction is to essentially say, this are the things I'm going to talk about. Without referring to yourself, that's essentially what you're doing. So what I want to do is I want to read through the paragraph here, and let's think about the things that I have implicitly promised I'm going to talk about in more detail in the body. because I talk about things in general in the introduction. Then in the body, I go to the specific examples, and I'm essentially in the body following up in more specific detail what I talked about in general at the beginning. Okay. Futility in Araby. James Joyce's Araby is controlled by the theme of futility. At every point in the story, the narrator's hopes for life are shown to be futile. He wants to achieve the love, or at least get the interest of Mangan's sister by getting her a gift from the Araby fair. That dream is futile from the outset, considering she is around 17 and he is around 13. It is also hopeless on broader and deeper levels. His family life, his Catholic faith, and not least of all the town of Dublin combine to sum up every aspect of his existence in the final desperate words of the story. Gazing up in the darkness, I saw myself as a creature driven and derided by vanity, and my eyes burned with anguish and anger. Okay. Now, did you guys read the story? I didn't require you to. Okay. But it is there in the module. Okay. Bree?
I skimmed through it.
You skimmed through
Why
it.
do you have to give me the glasses for?
Okay. Because they're there and we've talked about it. Okay. So
I skimmed through it.
okay. So the basic premise, Lama, did you get a chance to read the story?
No, I didn't.
Which is fine. Only Bree gets the glasses.
I'm getting attacked. I'm getting attacked.
Okay. So no, sir, we are through.
We're through?
We're through, sir.
Wow, you know what? You're done. Yes, because you're done.
Okay, I'm getting canceled here. Okay. So in the basic idea of the story, is that we have a character who's probably about 13 years old, 12 years old. He's got a crush on the 17-year-old girl. Okay. So ladies, how do you like his odds?
How his odds are? Pretty low.
Okay, he's going to be dating this 17-year-old pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are you trying not to barf?
Mind.
Are you trying not to barf? Okay.
I just think that's weird, but all right.
Okay. So, well, no, be honest. No. Unless there's something wrong with this girl, nothing's going to happen. And it gets better. Okay. She is in training to be a nun.
Oh, okay.
So unless
That
she's a
doesn't make
weird
it
17-year-old and a very bad nun, nothing's happening here, right?
She probably has a kink if that's the case.
But I want to be clear. No indication in the story that she has a kink. Okay. In fact, does she have any idea that he's crushing on her?
I have no idea.
Well, if you're a 17-year-old girl and a 13-year-old boy is crushing on you, would that probably cross your mind?
Just depending how they act. But yeah, probably.
Okay. But if he never talks to her.
Oh, then no.
Okay. And frankly, if Bree, you're worrying me a little bit with how open-minded you are about this.
I'm very open-minded about this.
Okay. But for the normal circumstances, if she finds out, her response is going to, go away, little boy.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, he develops in his mind this idea. She makes this idle comment. Oh, I can't. I'd love to go to Araby Fair. I can't do it, but because the convent has a retreat. And he gets in his head, I'm going to go to the Araby Fair. I'm going to get her a gift. He never explains what he's going to do with this, because if he does, it'll be her so stupid that he wouldn't. Okay, is he going to bring this gift to her and she's going to, my hero, let's date? Or in Breeville, wow, wonderful, let's smash.
I'm like, oh no, that's cute. Okay.
Thank you. Oh, that's sweet little boy. Okay. And so we all, as readers, we all know this. He does not. Okay, so when he goes to Araby Fair, finally he gets there very late when it's almost closed, and at the stall where he arrives, there's this one girl who's about Mangan's sister's age, the girl he's crushing on, and she looks at him. She's being flirted with by these two guys. Okay. And she's got her flirt on. She doesn't want to be disrupted. I know, you know how it is when you got your game on. You don't want somebody messing with it. You don't want somebody rushing in the T-Mobile when you got your flirt on, right? Okay. and so she's doing this. She looks at him, and the way she looks at him makes him realize how stupid he was. And you say, well, don't we cut him a little bit of slack? Not the story. Okay, when he's okay at that end, when he says, "I saw myself as a creature driven and divided by vanity," what he means with vanity is not how he good he looks in the mirror. He means futility, uselessness. It's in vain. Okay. So, any other questions about the story?
No.
So that's the basic premise. There's a lot more going on in the story than that. So let's take a look again at this and let's think, what are the things you're expecting to hear from me? Okay, later on in the essay in more detail. Okay. So the first is you're going to hear about Araby. You're going to hear about the theme of futility. So what that means is I put you as a reader on notice and myself on notice as a writer that every time something comes up that is about futility, I'm going to talk about it. So anytime something seems useless, anytime something seems a waste of time, anytime he seems like he's not getting what he wants, that's futility. Now let's read this next sentence. And actually, I want to go to futile again. The next sentence, and let's leak about the things that you suspect I'm going to talk about in more detail in the essay. He wants to achieve the love, or at least get the interest of Megan's sister by getting her a gift from the Araby Fair. Anything in that sense that you're kind of expecting, I'm going to talk about in more detail in the body of the essay.
About how we get the gift from the fair.
And we're going to hear about Megan's sister, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not at all surprised in a couple pages that I spend three or four paragraphs talking about her. She's the focus of it, right? That dream is futile from the outset, considering she is around 17 and he is around 13. It is also hopeless on broader and deeper levels. Are you expecting me in this essay to go into it in broader and deeper levels? Yeah. His family life, his Catholic faith, and not least of all, the town of Dublin, combined to sum up every aspect of existence in the final desperate words of the story. And then the quote. So anything in this sense here that you're expecting to hear in more detail in the body?
What do you mean?
His family life, his Catholic faith, and not least of all, the town of Dublin, combined to sum up every aspect of his existence in the final desperate words of the story.
I'm expecting you to just talk more about his family.
You're expecting to hear his family life, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Catholic.
Well, his religion for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
And existing and final desperate word.
I'm cheating here. Okay. You're expecting to hear about Dublin, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, the town.
Okay. You're expecting to hear about Dublin because I've talked about it. So what you want to notice about this, sorry, I'm getting too excited about the fact that I can use my magic pen here. Okay. So everything that I've highlighted is something you're expecting to hear more detail later. So I want to go into the first quote. Okay. Now, the next thing you want to think about is this is an implicit text, and the assumption you're going to have is that I'm going to talk about everything that relates to futility. But it's going to be different from the argumentation, because the argumentation, I wanted you to assume the reader hadn't read the sources. Because what you're practicing the argumentation is summarizing text to get the overall idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for the short story analysis, you assume the reader has read the story, because would I likely want to read an essay on futility in Araby if I haven't read Araby? No.
No.
So you are not accountable for everything in the story. You're only accountable for the things that relate to your theme. Now, it just happens that in this case, the first thing that relates to futility is the first lines of the sentence of the story. Okay. The tone of now, what I want you to do is call my attention to it when I have called up anything in specifically that I've talked about earlier. Okay. The tone of futility appears in the beginning of the story in the essence of the town of Dublin itself. Before any characters appear to bring life to the story, a description of the town and its environment speaks of a deadly sterility. Okay. So anything in this paragraph here, okay, that I've talked about before.
Mm-hmm. Dublin. So notice I talk about Dublin and then bring it up here. Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking back at what I talked about before. Now, I don't necessarily need to talk about things in order. In other words, I don't need to talk about Mangan Sister and then Araby Fair, then Family Life and Catholic Faith. I can do it out of order. And again, I'm also not surprised if the last thing I mentioned is the first thing I talk about here, because it's fresh in my mind, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. But when, okay, I want to see you guys in detail here. Okay. When I am taught, if any point in the essay, I'm always looking back about what did I say in my introduction.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, for this essay, since it's so short, 4 pages, your introduction is probably only going to be a paragraph.
Mhm.
Okay. So in any given time, I'm looking back at the introduction. Okay. I talked about Mangan Sister. I talked about Araby Fair. I said in general, this Family Life, okay, the Town of Dublin and Catholic Faith. I'm going to talk about those. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to, okay. So I want to share screen again and show you how I do go through this. Okay. Now also notice that this is what we call a block quote. It's 5 lines or longer. So I've indented it 5 spaces on the left margin, not on the right, and no quotation marks, and I've documented it here. Okay. Then I'm going to talk about this for a little while. Okay. Then I take this transition here and I say the religious roots of futility are also there. Okay, what's the matter? There we go. Okay. Now, is that religious roots of futility? Is that anything I've talked about in my introduction?
Yeah. The first one.
His family life.
His
Okay.
family
Oh,
life.
excuse me, his Catholic faith. Okay. So I want you to notice as you go through this, everything I talk about in some way starts with or builds from something I said in the introduction.
Yeah.
Okay. So with any essay, there's going to be feeling that you're a little bit lost 2-3 pages into it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're lost, take a look. What did you say in the introduction?
Okay.
What have you said in examples since then? Because the introduction is just a starting point. It's just a general statement. It builds with each example. With each example, there's something to talk about, something more to compare it to, something more to detail on.
Okay.
Piece of cake. As Bree was saying, this is going to be easy.
The most easiest essay could have written in your class so far.
Okay. Of the two, it's going to be the easiest, right?
That's why so far.
So far.
I doubt it's
Okay.
gonna get any easier than 4 pages, 5 pages.
Yeah, the essays are going to get longer from here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's enough for today. Are there any questions you guys have here?
No, I'm
which
good right now.
story we have to do the?
It's going to either be on Cathedral or Sonny's Blues. Those are the 2
Ask that
stories.
question again because I got lost again. Okay, confirmed.
Okay.
Noted.
So noted. Anytime you're lost, Bree, feel free to ask.
I will now.
Yes.
I just confirmed
Okay.
a lot of things, so we're good.
Yeah, because I sensed you're kind of shy, and
I mean,
I almost finished that sentence with a straight face. I almost finished it.
I'm the shyest person you can meet.
Oh,
I'm very antisocial. I'm an introvert.
no, I can't figure out how to do it. It just doesn't look right when I do it, does it?
No.
See, that's entirely natural. Okay. I just look like a perv.
It's all about the innocence, you know.
Yeah, I'm not fooled. Okay. Any questions you guys have?
No, I'm good.
So remember, I go through the whole essay with 4 different videos on that. So if you missed something of what we talked about here, you can go through the video and watch that, and also you can watch the lecture. And then Bree could see all the things we talked about her while she was gone.
Uh-huh. Are you with T-Mobile or Metro by T-Mobile, hon? Because T-Mobile's across the street. We're not T-Mobile.
You're Metro.
Yes, we are. It's Metro by T-Mobile. T-Mobile's across the street, hon.
Is that what I did? I don't even know which one I'm at. Which one I did. I would say here.